everybody. Welcome back to episode 66 of Talkoffamepod with your host, Kylie. I'm so excited to have on actress, director, host, and producer of Secret Life podcast and best-selling author, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict, Brianne Davis. Thanks for
Hi.
coming, Brianne.
Hi, how are you? I'm so glad to be here.
I'm good. How are you? I'm so happy to have you on.
Yeah.
So you are a actress and director. What made you want to start doing that, being in this type of industry?
Well, I always loved make-believe. I grew up as a latchkey kid and I watched a lot of television and film because both of my parents, were working and out of the house. So I would really just love television and escaping and to that world of make-believe. And so when I was really young, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know I didn't want to be myself, which is like bad, but I knew like when I started acting, when I got to become other characters, put on clothes, have other people's dialogue, it just felt more comfortable than being in my skin. So I definitely entered the business of, acting in Hollywood, not in the healthiest place, but I've gotten healthy over the years. And now I love being in my skin. And I also love being other characters. So yeah, I've been a working actor for over 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when you were young, like, what were your inspirations when you watched TV? Like, do you have any movies or shows that kind of inspired you? That kind of made you want to be an actress?
Oh my gosh. So my favorite movie growing up was Romeo and Juliet, which is totally not appropriate for a kid at all. But I fell in love with love scenes. Like I'm obsessed with love. I love butterflies, the first hand holding. That is what really just like, I just love that feeling. So anytime I got to watch movies, like my mom was obsessed with Dirty Dancing. I don't even know. It's such an old movie, but she would watch it. And I just remember watching like them dancing together and it like magical. And now being an actress, I shoot those scenes and they're like the least magical thing known to man. They're like so technical and there's no romance. There's 40 people staring at you. It's hot outside. It's the least romantic, but I still fall for it every day when I see movies and film. But I think my favorite movie of all time, which is not romantic, is Jaws. So it doesn't really and I love horror movies and I just love the world of make-believe,
Yeah, me too. Like I'm like the person that's obsessed with movies and shows. Like if you recommend me something, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this after. I don't care. Like on my free time, I'm always watching something. Like even if it's like romance, drama, comedy, I'm watching everything.
I love it too.
Even though I'm not really a horror type of person, I'm always watching everything. Like I'm like, I don't care how scared I am, I'm gonna watch it because it looks good. So I'm like, I don't really care. But like as a little kid, like I basically knew I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I just kind of knew that from the start. Yeah, I basically knew that. Like I just kind of didn't want to admit it. But I was like, I'm a very shy girl. I was always a very shy kid. And
I was too. I was totally shy. Like I wouldn't talk to anybody. And I'm still shy to this day. Like I get really nervous, especially in social. Good. Yeah, we'll see.
And like I had very bad anxiety. So I was literally so scared to try new things. And like I was like, how is a very shy girl gonna be in the entertainment industry? That's kind of not possible. But then at the end of the day, like I talked to a lot of people, and like even if they're like an actor, singer, songwriter or something, they're always start off being shy, then they grow. I think myself like at least like I'm now alone. At least there are people that are shy. Well, I used to be shy. At least become an entertainment industry, like people. Like at least I saw not a lot of people are shy in the entertainment industry from what I see growing up. So I'm like, I don't see myself, like I don't see other people being shy in the entertainment industry. That's really not normal.
No, it actually really is. I mean, a lot of people are shy and have dyslexia or ADHD or even come from traumatic backgrounds. Like Hollywood is very much like that is normal. I mean, I go to an event and sometimes I don't even talk to anybody because I feel like kind of awkward and uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I still have those tendencies. They don't completely go away, but there's something about when you get older in the business where you stop caring so much about what other people are thinking and you can walk in a room and you're like, whatever, here I am. I'm okay exactly where I am. I don't need to be friends with anybody to feel good about myself.
Yeah, exactly. Do you start in History Channel's military series 6. So it's that kind of experience like for you to shoot down everything.
Yeah, that was a great show. I mean, playing Lena Graves, and she was just such a kind, sweet character. You know, she went through her own trauma with the loss of her baby and trying to have another baby with her husband. And it was a beautiful, especially season 1 was such a beautiful journey to portray her and really lean into God and faith. You know, I haven't played a character that was so God, higher power oriented. So that was nice to do that. And season 2 was even, you know, wonderful, especially the scene at the playground where I confront Joe. Lena confronts Joe about the loss of the child. So it was a great show. I'm bummed it got canceled, but that's what happens. You have a job and then you don't have a job, and then you have a job and you don't.
Yeah, everything canceled. Like once you get hooked to the character, then next thing you know, it get canceled. That happens often. It's nothing new. It's nothing like,
or you get killed off, or they like, I mean, it just changes all the time. And that's the thing people forget as an actor, even if you're on for 10 years. And I remember one of the friends, I think it was Matthew Perry or something, he went through a deep depression after he got done with Friends, because you get so attached to the crew and the cast and the family and your character. And then when you have to give it up, you always go through like a loss, like you lost something, but then you have to like pick yourself up and start over again. So it's constantly reinventing yourself.
Yeah, I've seen that. And like I've seen stuff that Courtney Cox, the person that plays Monica on Friends, doesn't even remember playing Friends. Like doesn't remember anything. I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, is that how hard it is to play a character that long? Like, even though I'm the biggest Friends fan you could ever like see, I'm really the biggest Friends fan. I'm thinking to myself, like, that's awful. Like, that's really awful to think like you're stuck in that character. You're really betrayed for like how many seasons or how many years, and see yourself immediately depressed and can't get out of that zone where you can get the character is really something I really couldn't imagine. I really think myself like, how is this even possible to even be able to kind of feel that way?
Yeah. And sometimes when you're in the character, I mean, for me, even shooting things, I'll have people come up to me and they're like, oh, when you did this I'm like, I don't remember. Because when you're in the character, sometimes you lose yourself. Like when I watch myself on film and television, I actually don't see myself. I see the character. So as soon as I'm done playing it, I almost forget everything that I just did. So when I watch it on the screen, I'm like, oh, I did that. Oh, there's that moment. Like I don't remember doing it because a part of you disconnects sometimes.
Yeah, because like you're so focused on the character that you just can't really focus on anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so you are the host of Secret Life podcast. What made you kind of want to start doing that?
Well, I never wanted to have a podcast. That wasn't something I was interested in, but definitely when the pandemic happened, you know, my husband and I are both in recovery. I have 12 years in sex and love addiction. He has 33 years in AA. And when we, you know, saw all these people that needed mental health problems, you know, connection, a lot of people are having trouble connecting. So we started the podcast, which I'm the host, and it's Tell Me Your Secret and I'll Tell You Mine. Because when I wrote the article for HuffPost about being a working actress and being in recovery for sex and love addiction, that I felt that last bit of shame and stigma leave even after 12 years of recovery. And I wanted to give other people a chance. So we have everybody, every ethnicity, gender, you know, ethnic background, age, everything come on and tell their secret, whether it be, you know, a suicide attempt, you know, wanting to be an actor, but he was a makeup artist. We have that one coming up, and really funny secrets, and then really, really dark secrets. And it's just a beautiful place to connect with my guests for the listener. And I'm so proud of it. We're about to come up to episode 100, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're really proud of it, my husband and I, and we think it's one of the best things we've ever done, except having our kid. Like our kid's our best thing, but
yeah. What was like the hardest part? Like you said you're covering like love actor or whatever. And like, what was kind of the hardest kind of part in recovering from all that and trying to fight off that and trying not to, basically trying to get rid of it and stop doing that, basically?
Well, you never get rid of it. It's a progressive brain disease. You just treat it. It's treatable. So like when I say sex and love addiction, it's not like I'm out sleeping with a bunch of people. You know, you're young. I don't want to like be graphic, but it's like I was in love with falling in love. Like
Yeah.
I told you, I love the butterflies, the first touch, all that stuff. And as soon as that high wore off, as soon as like the butterflies went away, I'd be like, oh, that's not real love, because that's what I see in the movies, right?
Yeah.
That's what like is portrayed to us. No one sits and talks about what real intimacy looks like. So I had this warped sense of what a relationship looked like, what a healthy relationship looked like. So when I was going out into the world dating, I picked unhealthy people. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't available because I was scared of intimacy because I wanted this fantasy of first love. And then the sex side of it is not like one night stands. It's like I use my sexuality and the way I looked to
Mhm.
control other people. So it was just this weird thing, because whenever I thought of that disease, I thought it was like Tiger Woods cheating on the wife and then, having an affair or
Yeah.
something. And that's not what it is. And so when I spoke out about it after 10 years of recovery, I wanted to help other people in a younger generation like yourself. I got my 10-year chip in Los Angeles and I've been in the program. I'm an old timer, they call me. And I saw 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds coming in saying, I can't have a stable relationship. I'm having trouble dating. I lack connection. I feel like I'm always looking for something better. And it just like, it's so bad right now. So that's why I spoke out, to give a different face to this addiction that is actually hurting our society really, really bad, especially the younger generation, because there's social media, there's dating
Mhm.
apps, there's unrealistic expectations, there's filters we put on. Nobody's real anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I spoke out and I'm really proud I did it. It was terrifying
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm a working actor. Like, first of all, no one cares. Second of all, like, am I going to ruin my career? Like, what am I doing? But it was one of the best things I've done too.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had like kind of similar things like you kind of did. Is I like I said before, I grew up with anxiety and depression all my life. It's
Mm-hmm.
like so anxiety wasn't really new to me as like in terms of everyday life, I'll say. And so
Yeah.
before like once the pandemic hit, like we were all stuck at home, we weren't living our everyday lives. Like I was basically out living my life, hanging out with friends, like going to sporting events and doing all these things and that I love to do. And
Mm-hmm.
then and like I was and then I fell into a very steep depression. Like I just
Yeah.
remember during the summer of 2020, I was like depressed, getting
Yeah.
anxiety, panic attacks every night, crying myself to sleep. It was bad. It was horrible. And
It
like
was horrible for a lot of people, because when we go out in the world and we're with other people, we're not looking at those things that we're dealing with. So when we all got isolated, we all got really quiet and with
yeah,
ourselves.
exactly.
And you're like, where am I not loving myself enough? Where am I going to the dark side? Where do I need to like really look and see why I'm feeling this anxious? What is this anxiety? And doing that and connecting with others about that, and not just connecting about hanging out or going to sporting events.
Yeah, exactly. And I got myself sick because of it. Like I it
Oh,
was
I'm sure 100%.
yeah,
You
I got
always get
myself
yourself sick.
like sick. I was like, it was like very bad. I told no one about it. I literally told no one except like my parents, my
Mhm.
immediate family. And like I really was like I was very ashamed of it. I was like, I don't want to tell anybody this. Like I don't even like my family, like outside my parents and my siblings and my grandmother. I was like, I was ashamed. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to tell my family or my friends or and I even had a nephew at the time, my firstborn nephew that's about to turn 2 years old. And I'm like, me myself, like, I don't want to live my life like this. Like, I don't want my family to be ashamed of me. I don't want my family friends to judge me, even though like family's here to support and love you no matter what. Like, I was pretty like felt like very judged about it. Like
Yeah, it's a
I
lot of
felt very
stigma.
like I felt very self conscious about it a little bit. And
Mhm.
then like I was like once I got all better and started the podcast, I think to myself like I think I'm ready to open up about it. Like, I don't know if I should open up about it. Like you said, it was very difficult to open up
Mhm.
about it because you didn't know what was going to happen. It was going to damage about like your career and damage who people think who you are as a person might
Mhm.
change. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's really one of the best things I ever did because
Yeah.
because like the most important thing is to help other people that are going through the same. Like you're not alone. Like a lot of people during the pandemic really had some mental health problems, and a lot of people texted me or just kind of came up to me in person and be like, oh, I had some health problems. He helped me a lot. I'm like, oh my God, like it really is really the best feeling in the world.
Well, it's about connection.
Yes,
Connection is the number one thing that gets you out of the depression, anxiety, addiction, whatever it is. It's like that connection from one person to the other saying, me too. I feel that way. I'm not 100%. My pictures might look like I'm feeling great, but internally, like I'm suffering and I
yeah,
feel like no one sees me and I have so much shame and stigma. And the point is, when you say that out loud to just one person, like, I need help, or can you listen to me? That's where the healing starts.
yeah, seriously. I really totally agree with that. So like you recently came out with a book called Secret Life of Hollywood Sex and Love Addiction. Like you kind of said before a little bit, kind of explained, but like
Yeah.
what kind of made you want to kind of share your story into like a book? What kind of made you want to turn that?
Well, again, I didn't want to do that either.
Yeah.
That literally was like my higher power. And it really came through my husband. My friend Jana Kramer and I were pitching a show around town about female sex and love addicts because she's a love addict. And what was happening is the narrative was changing. The story I wanted to tell kept changing with different producers and things like that. And my husband kept being like, hey, there's this writing class. You should take it about writing a novel. And I was like, I'm not a writer. I'm an actor. What are you talking about? I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD. I almost failed English. Like, no, leave me alone. But he just kept asking me at random times. He's like, it's about to start. It's not that much money. It's 90 days. No one has to know. You could take one class and then you could never take it again. Like, just try it. And finally he wore me down. I said, okay. And I was shooting Lucifer at the time. And I remember I was shooting and I took the first class and it just came out. Like, the book literally was like writing itself through me. So I never think that I wrote it. It was literally like my higher power, God, whatever universe you want to say,
Mm-hmm.
made me a vessel to write this story. And I really wanted to make a book that was entertaining, that was a television show, movie series. It reads like that because that's what I grew up reading. And
Mm-hmm.
it follows the first year of a young actress turning 30, and she gets into recovery for sex and love addiction. It takes you through that journey of how to heal from this addiction, but in a very fun, light, there's sad moments, but a lot of books about addiction are very depressing. And I wanted to make it a fun read that anybody that even didn't have this addiction could read it and go like, oh, I've done that. Oh, I've gone back to a bad ex. Oh, I liked a boy that was unavailable, or a girl, or whoever. Like, anybody can read it and say, oh, I've done that, or gone to an unavailable friends. I mean, for so
Mm-hmm.
long, I had friends that didn't know how to show up for me because I didn't know how to show up for them because I picked unavailable friends. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really looking at all relationships with your family, relationships with your friends, and, if you're dating. So that's why I wrote it, to help other people. It's not about me. And if it helps one person, then I've done my job.
Seriously, I really couldn't agree because like during the pandemic, the whole world shut down and you didn't know when you're gonna go out again. And
Yeah.
everyone thought it was gonna turn out for like a 2 week, couple week thing. I
Mhm.
personally thought that too. I thought it was gonna be a couple
Yeah,
week
I
thing.
did
And I was
too.
like, oh, I'm gonna live my life. It's probably just a couple weeks shut down. Let's take a rest. Like just kind of take it as like a little step down and just take a break from what you're doing. And so I was like, and then as time went on, I'm thinking to myself like, this is probably gonna get more worse and better. I'm like, and I haven't been seeing my family because like I was like, because of the whole pandemic, we all wanted to be safe and didn't want to get anyone sick. And
Mhm.
I was like, who knows what's gonna happen? Like, who knows what's gonna happen to our family or friends? And I became like, I really took family and friends more seriously. Like, I like, I took family and friends seriously before. I'm not saying I haven't, but then at the end of the day, I kind of took it more serious, thinking to myself like, family is like why you're here. Family is here to support you when no one's here, like when you don't have support, or you don't believe
Yeah.
in yourself. Now I think
Yeah.
to myself like, I should really take this as a responsibility and reach out to my family whenever I can, make sure they're okay if they need anything, or as a friend, like I reach out or whatever, be like, hey, you good? Like, do you need anyone to talk to? Like, are you okay? Like, that's really the most important thing. And like, for the pandemic really taught basically everyone to really take responsibility and really check up on others and take your family and friends more seriously and make sure to check up on them because you don't know what's gonna happen and what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Like you don't know what's the last time you're gonna see them again or talk to them again. So I think you should really not take your friends and family for granted and just really try to be a good friend or family to others because you don't seriously don't know what they're going through or like when your last time's gonna see them again.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't get to choose their family. Friends is different, but you could
Yeah.
have family members that you have conflict with, or it's just not a healthy relationship. And the book really shows like how you can use your tools to still have a relationship, even when the person is unhealthy, because sometimes you are grown into a family that it's very toxic. It's not, a safe place. So it really digs into if you grow up in an unsafe place, how can you get through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So like as I kind of grew up, like when I'm a twin sister, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm the youngest of three siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and so I am like always kind of been like a person that's always kind of been the shadow of my other siblings. That's
Yep.
these my like I don't know like a lot of people have to do this, but like my brother is all about baseball, like sports, and everyone used to come like give him all attention and always kind of made me like the back burner, as she used to
Yeah.
put. Like I always felt betrayed. I was like, I'm not important. Like I just became down to myself. I'm like, what do I have to do to make my family love me like they love my brother? And he's
Yeah.
like, I was like, what makes me different from my brother? Yes, we're different, but then they were related, we're siblings, and people often come up to me and be like, hey, are you and so-so's sister? I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't want to be known for that. I don't want to be known for being my brother's sister. I'm thinking to myself, like, I want to be known for who I am and what I do, personally, with the podcast and all that stuff. I don't want to be known for being my twin brother's sister. I want to be known for what I do, not for who I'm related to. And that is something a lot of people go through. Like, I personally, I'm not alone. At first, I thought like it was the end of the world. I'm thinking to myself, like, these people suck. Like, who cares like, who I'm related to? I'm my own person. Yes,
Yeah.
me and my brother are related, but then at the end of the day, it's nothing huge. It's something kind of big. And at the end of the day, like, you're a person. Like, you don't need to be known for who you're related to or who you are. Just be yourself and just don't care about what other people think. That's what I personally kind of think
Yeah.
from my experiences. Because, like, the world is like, you don't know when your day, you don't know what people are going through at the end of the day. Like, you don't know what stories or backgrounds they have. Like at the end of the day, they might go through something in their life. Like they might be going through depression or anxiety, and you don't know about it. Like you seriously don't know any idea of what they're going through. So you should really think to yourself like it's okay if people think that. Like at the end of the day, like it's something you shouldn't really be like what's the word for it? You shouldn't really take it for granted because you don't really shouldn't judge people for who they think of you and not like who I personally think who I am
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So, you have directed a feature film called The Night Visitor 2, Heather's
Mm-hmm.
story. What was the hardest part about being able to direct that and everything?
Well, that was a found footage movie, so it wasn't as difficult. That was the first movie I directed, so it was, you didn't you we got to shoot it in a small time frame in a couple of locations. Cameras high, so it wasn't like completely look like directing a movie. But the second movie I directed, which is called Psychophonia, and that one is like a full feature directed normal with like medium shots, close-ups, all of that. So when I directed that second movie, I was like in love with directing. There's something about being an actor, knowing how to tell stories, breaking down scripts, every department, setting up with the DP, setting up the scenes and all that, and then doing storyboards. I just loved it because it was every element of my creativity in telling a story. And I got to hire a bunch of my friends that are in the business. And yeah, we shot it in a week, and it was just one of the best movies I got to direct. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, do you have anyone they look up to as an actress, or just kind of in general? Do you have anyone they look up to?
As an actress, I mean, I love so many people. I love
Mhm.
Robin Wright. Right. I love Ellen Barkin. I I, am obsessed with Jamie Lee Curtis because she's in sobriety and a 12 step and she talks about it a lot and she's in the business. So I like anybody that tells their truth. Who else do I really love? I mean, Nicole Kidman's great. I love Reese Witherspoon and Elizabeth Banks because they have production companies and Elizabeth Banks directs. And that's what I love doing. I love acting and directing and now creating stories and pitching TV series. So that's really what I want to do. I want to do it all. I just don't want to be an actor anymore because you only get to tell one story. Which isn't easy. It's not easy at all, but you get to go on set, you get to put on your costume, you get to say some dialogue, you get some scenes, then you go home. But as a director, you're the first person there, you're the last person there. When you're the producer, you get to decide like, what does the crew eat? What's at the crafty table? Who's the hair and makeup? All that stuff I love too, because it's so important. Every element is in making a movie and it's a team effort. And I just love being part of a team.
Exactly. Like, what's better than being part of a team? Like, I have one thing, like, you want to be an actress and then, like, do that and, like, you just all over the place. Like, I'm the person that never stops working. I love working and keep myself busy. And, like, I'm seriously don't care what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't care if I do a podcast. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do all these things. Like, I just love being busy. That's how I am. Then when I'm busy, I'm thinking to myself, like, this is too much. Like, I hate this. So it's different type of personalities for me, but what do you think is kind of the hardest part for you to kind of balance and do all these things like directing, acting, producing, and all these things?
Well, I just do what's in front of me. So like today I'm doing a bunch of interviews. So I'm getting interviewed. Then I have an interview for my podcast. Then, at 6 a.m. I do rewrites for my second book as a follow-up to Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict about sober dating. And, then I'll have an audition and I'll have to work on it tonight and then tape it in the morning at 5 a.m. before my son gets up. And then I'm a mother and then I'm a wife. And it's like, then I get to like create and write a pilot with my husband that for Secret Life. So it's like every day I just see what the universe or God has in store for me. And I work with clients that are sex and love addicts and rehab, A-list clients. So I work with people, every other day, helping them as a sober coach. So there's every day I'm doing something different and I just allow it to be. Like, I don't try to muscle anything. Anytime I try to force something, like, why isn't this meeting happening? Why is my rewrites bad today? Why is this like, whenever I try to make something happen, it's my will instead of like my God's will.
Yeah, exactly. So if you could work with like any actor or actress or anyone in the entertainment industry, who would it be?
Well, I like Steven Soderbergh for a director. I've worked with one of my favorite female directors, Leslie Glatter. She was one of the executive producers on Six, and I got to shadow her on Homeland. So like I got to work with her a lot and got to like follow her for 5 weeks on Homeland. Why I've watched how she directed, watched how she broke down the scene. So actor, I'm not sure who I would pick. I love Ryan Gosling. He's always a great actor. I mean, there's so many people I admire and respect, and I would be honored to work with. It's too many to name, like
that's how I am. Like when people ask me, who are your dream people to interview? I'm like, that's gonna take me all day to say because that's gonna be so long to get the answer. But like since like kind of quarantine hit back in 2020, how much do you think has changed in terms like acting and directing? I don't know why I was gonna say dancing for a second. My head was like click. But then like how much do you think those have changed since like the pandemic started?
Oh, it's like night and day. I used to have auditions where I'd go across town. Now everything's on tape. You can live anywhere and be an actor, which is awesome. You don't have to be in Hollywood. Directing, there are more female directors and they're really pushing that more. It's still very slow. So that's why a lot, the whole business shut down for actors. And so I think that's, when I transitioned and wrote the book and did the podcast and then been pitching a show, it's like, you have to transition with the time. And then when I'm supposed to be acting, I'll go back to acting, and I'm never going to stop acting. I love it. But yeah, it's completely different now than it was 5 years ago. I mean, even 3 years ago before the pandemic, but the pandemic definitely recalculated the whole business.
100%. Like once I hear something like self-tapes were really a thing before the pandemic started, and now like this like a big thing people use now since all auditions are at home, or they like in like with the pandemic, you can't really do anything. You can't go inside
Yep.
for auditions. So now self-tape is a big thing. But like, have you used like self-tape for quarantine, or is it kind of like on Zoom and type of thing?
I've auditioned on Zoom, but it's mostly self tapes. And I was doing them because when you're on location shooting, you don't want to miss a part. So you tape when you're out of town and stuff. So I've been doing them for a long time, but that's like the standard now. But I do miss going into the room and being with the casting director and getting to create, and then having director sessions with the producers in the room. And it's that this energy that happens that I do miss. But then it's really nice not to have to drive across town in Los Angeles traffic, go from like, I mean, I would have like 3 or 4 auditions in a day, all completely different characters, 7 to 8 pages of dialogue, changing in your car. You know, it was exhausting. It was a
Yeah.
full-time job just auditioning. And now I can do them in the morning. I can send them off. Then I can go on my day, you know, with whatever other creative thing I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the final question for an interview is, what is some advice for young generations that like to be an actress or director one day?
I just think have a vision and don't go into the business looking for it to complete you or to give you your self-worth. I think when I started, that was the main thing. Like I wanted to be famous. I want people to love me, give me attention and validation. And here's the thing, you do get that, but it goes away really fast. No matter if you're at your height, it's going to go away. Like
Yeah.
it's this constantly. One day you have a job, the next day you're unemployed. Next day you have a job, you almost have a job, you almost get it, you sign a contract, then they give it to somebody else. Like it's constant rejection.
Yeah.
So if you are going into the business wanting to be like J-Lo, even J-Lo has bad days and doesn't get jobs. But if you want to be J-Lo, it's that the likelihood of that ever happening is very low. I'm a working actor. I've made a living as an actress, but I'm not an A-list celebrity. I still have to like grind it after 20 years. And it's just like, you got to get ready for that. You got to get ready for constant rejection, constant up and down. So you have to base your self-worth on creating outside of the business, whether it be making your own movies, your own short films, doing the YouTube channel, all that stuff. But you have to be okay not getting the likes, not getting the jobs, not getting in the door you think you should get in, all that stuff. So enter it in your own self-love. Don't look for it outside of yourself, because Hollywood and Los Angeles and the entertainment business will never give it to you. It's never going to be sustaining.
Exactly. Like that's how I started as well. Like I kind of started asking where I was thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna be big, like, I'm gonna be hit at this. Like I was like very similar to you was. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna be the next like Jennifer Lopez, like that's what I'm gonna do. Then a year now I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a year now I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not Jennifer Lopez. Like just not I'm not even close to Jennifer Lopez, nor will I ever be.
Yeah.
And like, who cares? Like I might have not a lot of Instagram followers, but at the end of the day, like you might at the end of the year you might have like 1,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers at the end of the year. Like it's all about grind. Like everyone's saying like you need to grind by the end of the day. You're thinking to yourself like, how am I supposed to grind if I'm only doing one job at a time? Like you just have to take it one day at a time, or else you're gonna go nowhere in life. You don't know you're not gonna go anywhere at that specific job. Because if you don't work hard at what you're doing, you're not really gonna go anywhere. It's like because like
you have to work hard. It's hard work. It's a lot of work, and but you also have to have rest. You also have to have the balance, because the work is actually another way of not living in reality. So it's that balance. So like after we get done, I'll work out, I'll go for a walk with my dog, I'll do my next interview, I'll like go do rewrite. So it's like this balance in life that you have to work really hard, but you also have to take care of yourself.
Exactly. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on, jumping on the podcast. It was so great speaking with you. I loved our conversation. Thank you so much for coming on again. We'll definitely speak soon for sure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. Let's definitely speak soon for sure. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.